Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. I'm Mark Martin. The Midwest recently suffered from historic flooding. Heavy rains and snowmelt earlier this month caused the Missouri River to flood, killing at least 3 people. The flooding has damaged thousands of homes and broken more than a dozen levees in Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri. The waters devastated many areas and hurt farmers badly. Nebraska Army National Guard soldiers used a CH-47 Chinook helicopter to secure and deliver 10 bales of hay and airdrop them to cattle isolated in the area. The Nebraska National Guard has been supporting the ongoing response in eastern Nebraska following the massive flooding that has caused catastrophic damage to the state's infrastructure, agriculture, and personal property. One farmer says he's really thankful for the support. Take a look at this video highlighting the second Operation Prairie Hay Drop in Columbus, Nebraska.
Today we're loading up some hay to take out to a ranch or a farm west of town. They don't have access to the cows, so we're getting the hay to the animals, so at least they have feed through this flooded situation. Actually, I'm a farmer from north of town, so I'm just volunteering, and I've talked with several people in other states. We're trying to get hay coordinated to come in here. So it's been a lot of fun. I don't know if you can call it fun, but it's been a real pleasure to see the enthusiasm and the willingness of people to help out people who are in need. So some of this hay is coming from Montana, Colorado, Oklahoma, Kansas, all over the country. So it's really great to see the effort that everybody puts in to help someone who's in need. If I were the producer that was needing this hay, I would be extremely grateful, because this is about the only way that we can get this hay product into these animals. And those animals are everything to us. We're in charge of them. We have to take care of them every day. And this is just a great way to get feed to these animals. It's really great. I'd really be appreciative of anyone who can help us out. I'd just like to thank everyone again for the support and the desire to help out. We're going to need it not only today or this week, but it's going to be going on for several weeks, where people are going to have to be repairing fences and all kinds of things. So it's going to take a long time to get back to normal if we ever get there.
Nebraska National Guard member Kelly Hatzenbuehler and her husband Wade suffered significant loss to their home and acreage due to the devastating floods. They share their thankfulness to their survival and all the assistance given by neighbors, family, and the surrounding community.
Total stranger opened her house to myself, my kids, my husband, and the dogs. The horses were still locked up in the round pen out front, and at 8 o'clock in the morning, when we were all getting up and ready, I talked to that same neighbor to the north, Diane, and she was in tears, and she said, "The water's to the house, I should have left. Why didn't I leave with you?" That really scared me, for not so much the house and the things, but the horses being trapped in that round pen. They had no way to get out. They were just sitting ducks in this ice water that was coming in. And our neighbors to the south so stopped to let the horses out. The horses just ran up the highway to get to high ground, and I had an amazing neighbor pull down a trailer and he picked them up. And once I knew that they were okay, the dogs were okay, the kids, all the important things that have heartbeats were okay, I wasn't quite as worried about this stuff. And that's when it kind of hit me. It's stuff, and then my verbiage throughout the day started changing, and it went from stuff to trash. I've never been on this side of the receiving help before. It's not been easy being the person that had to ask for help. We just looked at each other. We said for a lot of years we've been okay, and at this point in time we're not okay. And this is much bigger than us, so we need to be thankful and invite and encourage the help that we are receiving. So we're just kind of bouncing around like nomads. It's not the easiest when you have 4 kids, but I'm really trying to keep the family together. I know there's been offers, even though the kids haven't been out here to see the severity of what we're dealing with, but I really like to, at least at nighttime be together and just make sure everybody's doing okay. Yeah, just a really great community. We couldn't have been blessed with a better one during this.
In other news, the Pentagon carried out a first-of-its-kind missile defense test. 2 unarmed interceptor missiles were launched from underground silos in Southern California. Military officials say the test worked exactly as it was supposed to and demonstrates that the U.S. is a capable, credible deterrent against any threat. The concept is meant to improve the chances of hitting an incoming missile, which in actual combat could contain decoys and other measures designed to make it difficult for an interceptor to find and hit the target. The Trump administration has nominated the head of Air Force Space Command to lead the Defense Department's newest command as they work to create a U.S. Space Force. The Pentagon recently announced Lieutenant General John Raymond has been selected. Raymond is also the Joint Force Space Component Commander and directs U.S. Strategic Command Space Forces. He was previously the Air Force Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations at the Pentagon. At a recent meeting of the National Space Council in Alabama, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence called for landing astronauts on the moon within 5 years.
We have the technology to return to the moon and renew American leadership in human space exploration. What we need now is urgency. Now, make no mistake about it. We're in a space race today, just as we were in the 1960s. And the stakes are even higher. Just as the United States was the first nation to reach the moon in the 20th century, so too will we be the first nation to return astronauts to the moon in the 21st century.
This summer marks the 50th anniversary of the first manned moon landing. Well, coming up, how CBN is stepping in to help a military family in need. Welcome back. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to providing financial support to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans. One military veteran lost his job right before the holidays, but thankfully CBN's Helping the Home Front was there to take the weight off this family's shoulders.
Coram Kennett served 5 years in the Army as a combat medic. His wife, Mackenzie, is quick to praise him for his dedication to serve.
He has a very big heart, and when it comes to helping people and his patriotism, I'm always so proud to be his wife.
Coram speaks just as highly of Mackenzie for taking care of their toddler Hunter and newborn baby Mason.
I admire her. She's strong and I'm strong, but we're stronger together.
Their strength was tested when, just before the holidays, Coram was denied re-enlistment due to troop downsizing.
I worry a lot. It's my job to take care of my family. I feel like I'm not doing my job. That hits me pretty hard.
Coram and Mackenzie decided to use their final Army transfer from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, to go back home to Wisconsin. There, Coram could find a new job, but the couple was already behind on bills and rent and couldn't afford a deposit on a new place in Wisconsin.
It's very scary going into the holidays, not knowing where we're going to be. We've decided that we're not going to buy gifts for each other this year.
The couple relied on their faith in God that things would work out. They continued to pray every day.
We both feel so much better after we've prayed, after we feel like the Lord has listened to us and God's gonna handle it. I want her to feel peace of mind, and I want us both to feel peace of mind within the marriage and with God.
The Kennetts got a huge dose of Christmas cheer when their small group leader Brian Flannery with Reboot Ministry invited them over to tell them that CBN's Helping the Home Front was paying off the back rent due, paying an additional 2 months' rent to get them through the holidays, and paying the rental deposit on a new home in Wisconsin.
Wow. What are you feeling like hearing that?
Relief.
Relief.
Wow. I don't even know what to say.
We're also going to sit down today, and all the back bills that there are, we're going to take care of those too.
Wow.
God is good.
All the time.
All the time.
There's more. So we wanted to make sure that you could give those boys the Christmas that they deserve. So, right here our gift cards.
Oh my gosh.
And as soon as we're done, we're going to go shopping.
Thank you. I can't even process that we're gonna be okay.
The Kennetts sat down with Brian and mapped out a plan to pay all the delinquent bills. Then they were off on a shopping spree to buy everything the family needed, including presents for the children.
We couldn't be more grateful for the blessings that y'all are giving us, and knowing that we're gonna give our boys, you know, a wonderful Christmas this year. It's such a relief.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after the break. Thanks for staying with On the Home Front. Basketball Hall of Famer Pat Williams says the principles taught at the United States Military Academy at West Point can lead to success. In his new book, Character Carved in Stone, he talks about 12 granite benches at West Point that each represent a key leadership virtue. I spoke with Williams yesterday to hear more about all the lessons he learned. Well, first of all, talk about these granite benches. What virtues are actually inscribed in each of them?
Well, I first was introduced to these benches on a trip around the West Point campus in a little park called Trophy Point. Reside these 12 stone benches. And at the end of each bench, on both ends, there's a different word, carved into the stone. It's quite impressive. Words like compassion and courage, perseverance, words like integrity, words like trust and service, responsibility, those kind of words. And there was a backstory because the West Point class of 1934, on their 50th anniversary, presented those benches as a class gift to the school. And then they came up with these 12 words carved into the stone because they felt those were words that the cadets would need in future roles in our military in leadership. And my immediate reaction when I saw this up there, Mark, was, boy, this is a well-kept secret. I'd never heard of these benches, let alone these words, and that led to the idea of writing this book with a chapter on each one of the virtues, and then deciding a West Point product who best exemplified that particular word. That was the whole mission behind the book, and that's what we did.
Well, I'm holding in my hand a copy of the book. Once again, it's called Character Carved in Stone, the 12 core virtues of West Point that build leaders and produce success. Would you say that you see a lack of these virtues in today's culture, military and civilian populations?
Well, I think we always need, Mark, to be concerned about our own character. It doesn't stay with us beyond one day. In other words, all these things that we write about, you've got to be alert to them every day, because we have an evil one out there who wants to destroy us, if I may say so. And we've got to be very alert in building our own character and maintaining it. I think character begins at home. I think that's where parents and grandparents initially come in, teaching our children about honesty and about taking responsibility and about persevering and about integrity. All these key words have to be taught. And then coaches and teachers step in, and youth workers and pastors. And above all, I think young people catch it. So it's caught as well. They observe, they watch. They're studying us like hawks about how we are conducting ourselves at home and in the classroom and in the sports fields. And we've got to always be alert about our own character. Mm-hmm. And so these virtues go far beyond the cadets up at West Point. I think they have implications for all of us.
Well, within the book, you share incredible stories of West Point graduates who exemplify these traits. Can you share one story for our audience today?
Well, let me talk for a minute about Matthew Ridgway. General Ridgway went to West Point as a plebe, as a freshman. He knew the name of all 700 of his classmates. He had those kind of people interests. Now, on D-Day, he was in the paratroop division. He was the leader. He was not out on a boat in the English Channel. He was not back in London. General Ridgway parachuted into enemy territory, into France, with his soldiers. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
The general in charge of that particular division is jumping out of an airplane as a paratrooper with his troops. And then, of course, later on in 1951, when General MacArthur was relieved of his duties in Korea, General Ridgway was advanced. He moved up to take over. A remarkable man.
Most definitely, most definitely. Well, if you could boil it down to one main point from the book that you want readers to take away, what would that point be?
Well, let me just dwell on the word integrity. It comes from the root word integer, which means one. It would lead to a word like integrated, one society. So a leader of integrity, well, there's a consistency to their life. Their walk and talk match. They're not talking one way and then walking in the opposite direction. And the person that we feature in that chapter is Dwight D. Eisenhower, who believed very strongly about the importance of being a leader with integrity. He was in the Philippines, spent 6 years under Douglas MacArthur. And at that point, this was before World War II, the Philippine government was so grateful to us and to our military leaders there. They had big financial gifts for them. MacArthur was presented $500,000. And Eisenhower had the same kind of money presented to him. He turned it down. He simply said, I can't take that. He said, I'm being paid well enough, in my role. And he declined. He just did not think that was a good fit for him. I have great admiration for Ike. Of course, he went on and was in charge of the D-Day invasion. Later on, of course, he became our president from 1952 to 1960. A true reflection of a West Point grad and a great American.
All right. Well, once again, the book is Character Carved in Stone, the 12 Core Virtues of West Point that build leaders and produce success. Basketball Hall of Famer Pat Williams, thank you so much for your time.
Mark, great to see you. Thanks a million. I hope people
well.
enjoy the book. I know they will.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
A 10th Mountain Division squad leader credited with saving the lives of 3 of his soldiers by throwing himself atop a suicide bomber in Iraq was recently posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. Hear his story.
I want him to be remembered as the best father that anyone could ask for, and also at the same time being the best soldier that anyone could ask for. That's the main message.
I think he was somewhat fascinated with the military, the infantry in particular.
When Travis was at Fort Benning for basic training, we went down to see the graduation, and Travis said to me, this basic training was the best time I've had in my life. Now, a lot of people don't think that about basic training, but he thought it was more fun than anything he had ever done.
When he was in the 101st, enlistment was up. They wanted him to re-up. And he said, okay, but I want to go with the 501st in Alaska, okay? And they said, there's no slots open. You can't go. He said, okay, I'm out of here. So he got out and, did some civilian jobs. He went to school over in Missoula for a short period of time. And the civilian life just didn't do it for him. He had to get back in the Army. Travis knew the reality of serving in Iraq. He knew the danger.
It was always the last thing he wanted to talk about. There were, the conversations, I'm going, I gotta do my job, there's bad guys that, don't like me very much, He was very open about that.
We went to Fort Drum for the deployment ceremonies where they cased the flags, sitting in the stands and looking at the troops on the field. you know, a parent always realizes that some of them are not going to come back.
They were searching for a soldier that had been captured. They came across 4 Iraqis who looked suspicious. Travis got out of his vehicle and was able to apprehend one of them. But when he grabbed a hold of him, he realized the guy was wearing a suicide vest. And he dropped the guy to the ground, and the Iraqi detonated the vest. And that was that.
There's always going to be a void, and you know, we accept that.
I take anything I can and I try to turn it positive. So, you know, I take, yes, my dad's gone and that's hard, but you know, it's the fact that what he did is so extreme, and you know, that moves me even more. He was my icon.
He loved the Army, and he loved being with his troops. And he did the very best he could.
It means the world to me. The Medal of Honor it's the biggest one, and I can't thank, you know, everyone enough, you know, for the support and everything that they've done to give him that, because he did truly deserve it. My true treasure is what people say about him. And that's what makes me the most proud. He was a great soldier and a great father.
That's all for today. In the meantime, you can find more of our exclusive coverage at cbnnews.com. Hope you'll join us next time for On the Home Front. Have a great day.